Hello, welcome to the PhoneWord Forum on Wednesday, June the 24th, 2015. It is 4 p.m. Eastern Time, and today's PhoneWord Forum is an open session. My name is Jay Carpenter. I'm the moderator of the PhoneWord Forum. And today, even though it's an open session, we're going to be talking about a couple of topics at least. One is an article that was written by Dan York and published in Circle ID, and it's titled "The Directory Dilemma." I think it's an article that highlights some very key elements in the naming, addressing, and numbering space. And I'd also like to talk a little bit about a study that I came across from the RAND Corporation on cyber security tools and cyber crime tools, and we'll talk about a little bit about that as well. So I'm going to start the screen share, and we'll take a look at Dan York's article. So bear with me for just a moment. So this is a publication called Circle ID. Those who know Dan might not know Dan York. Dan is an industry expert in the IPv6 space. Dan's been involved in telephony and VoIP for a number of years. So he's considered to be one of the experts in this field, and he's written a few articles on this issue of naming, addressing, and numbering, which he calls the directory dilemma. And I think it brings up some very key points, which we'll just kind of scan through at this point. And he's talking about all sorts of over-the-top startups that might have a great product technically, but they are lacking in the ability to ubiquitously connect with other people. And that becomes a sort of a drag on their growth. And he's saying that basically there's a need for, and we've talked about this in the PhoneWord Forum in the past, as well as in the PhoneWord Workshops events, and I call it a need to create harmony among our disparate addresses today. So basically what Dan's talking about and highlighting here is the fact that we have all these different addresses. We have telephone numbers, Skype names, email addresses, Facebook accounts, WhatsApp, all kinds of different ways to communicate now, but none of the addressing works in harmony. None of it works together. And that's a problem. It's been a problem, and I would say it's a growing problem. So Dan's making this bold statement: it's all about the directory of users. So in order for a network to be valuable, you have to be able to connect with other users. And I believe this is called Metcalfe's law. And basically, the value of a network is proportional to the square of the number of users. And basically, Dan starts talking about this and how everything is fragmented user experience. We've got text messaging, iMessaging, Google Plus, Facebook, Skype, WhatsApp, all these different platforms to communicate, and none of the addressings tied together and works in harmony for the most part. So he talks about how Skype able to grow its user base and become one of the larger platforms with a number of users and its own internal addressing, and how that has really been one of the key things to keep Skype in the center position in terms of the video conferencing and the over-the-top communications. And even though there are superior technical offerings out there to Skype, Skype continues to be one of the center stage players because of its directory. So he talks about the power of Facebook's directory with over 1 billion users, and now Facebook owns WhatsApp. He's talking about WhatsApp, has over 800 million users, and then Facebook Messengers crossed over 600 million, and they've also bought Instagram, which has over 300 million users. So that's a lot of power, but even at over 1 billion users, that's only a portion of the global population of over 7.2 billion people. So even Facebook, with as large of a directory as it has, still there's a huge gap in the ability to directly connect via addressing, even through Facebook. So it talks about Google's directory and hundreds of millions of Google users, and certainly talks about Google and Facebook's appetite to position themselves as center stage in this directory dilemma issue. Apple, same thing. They are trying to connect people via FaceTime and various methods, and they face the same dilemma. And then he talks about WeChat in China with over 549 million active monthly users worldwide. And then it talks about telcos and the traditional telecommunications providers. They have directories as well. However, even their directories are not ubiquitous. So then he talks about everybody wanting to own the directory, and that's a problem because people realize that if one company or one set of companies owns the directory, there will be an issue with lock-in, and that is a problem. So talking about the lack of interest and I did find out this week that there's a large entity that is working on a federation initiative. I'm not going to say who it is because I think hopefully we'll have these folks on in the future, but there is a new federation initiative underway. There's also with this initiative, there's an effort to create harmony among addressing. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. So Dan, back to the article, he's talking about one directory to rule them all. He talks about enum, how that was at one point at least considered to be a candidate to provide the technology for this ubiquitous directory. And it's my opinion that is still a possibility, that enum is still one of the best, if not the best, technology candidates to model this ubiquitous directory after or use. However, there's been a lot of, let's say, friction and holding back on the implementation of what was called end user opt-in enum or public enum. So it's interesting his thoughts on that. And then some of the opportunity set around creating this directory regarding the ability to screen or allow in various people that we want to connect with and others that either we don't know about or we're not interested in connecting with them, or we want to show them different personas because we all have communities that we're part of, and each community entails often a different set of addresses that we would like to offer to people that are trying to connect with us. So then he talks about the promise of WebRTC and some of the problems that WebRTCs, which tie directly back to this directory issue. and it comes back to discovery Dan's talking about. So he continues to talk about the legacy PSTN and other dimensions of this directory dilemma, as he's tagged it. So not only Dan, but also others are coming to the same conclusion that this is a big problem. It's a big problem not only for connectivity efficiency, but also identity management and security. So there's a real opportunity here to create something new that works. However, it's going to take an unconventional approach to usher in a new realm of connectivity and to solve this, as Dan York aptly puts it, the directory dilemma. So I'm going to basically stop there. This article is in Circle ID, and it was published on June the 15th, 2015. So I highly recommend you take a look at this article and review it. There have been a few comments, and Dan would love to get some comments on this. So please take a look at that. And the other thing I'd like to bring to your attention is a paper that I came across, which apparently was published last year in 2014, and it was created by the RAND Institute, or RAND Corporation, in their, let's see, what's it called? Their National Security Research Division, and it's titled Markets for Cybercrime Tools and Stolen Data, Hackers Bazaar. So I highly recommend you look this up. I did not post a link because of their restrictions on copyright and permissions and so forth. But this is about, I believe, about an 82-page paper, and it really does a good job of highlighting what the ecosystem is up against in terms of the underlying markets that exist and that are growing for cybercrime tools and data that is extracted using these cybercrime tools, such as the 70+ million customer information that was exposed and compromised via the Target break-in and others. This is a huge problem, and the efforts to counter this, I would say, are falling short. There are bounties that are being placed by private companies. However, the markets that have emerged naturally, organically in the cybercrime area, I think are very difficult to turn around and are likely to continue to grow. And it's my view that the only way to really counter this is to create counterbalancing markets. So in the future, I plan to offer some additional information on this and possibly some prototypes, but the thing that's lacking in the cybersecurity market is, in my view, a market to give incentive for people in the know to come forth with information. And much like the age-old rewards that were posted on criminals back in, for hundreds of years or longer, I think there's an opportunity to create something dynamic that's a new approach to security that uses market mechanisms and market incentives. So other than that, the only other topics that are on the agenda for today are talking about collaboration. And I do see some collaborative opportunities that are emerging and some opportunities to work with some organizations and initiatives that share a common interest in creating something new in the realm of naming, addressing, and numbering. And we'll continue to look at and highlight those particular opportunities in the future. So that's about it for today. I will go back to screen share for just a moment and highlight what's coming up. So the upcoming PhoneWord Forum will be another open session in July 29th. And I anticipate that we're going to go through about 2 or 3 more months with open sessions, and then we'll get back into the format of inviting guests and having open discussions on specific topics. So please bear with us during that time. And I can assure you there's some very interesting things that are in the works. The other thing that is of interest, that might be of interest to you, is on the 2nd and 3rd Wednesdays of the month, there is a PhoneWord workshops. The next one will be July 8th, 2015 at 5 p.m. Eastern, followed by July 15th at 11 a.m. Eastern. And you can take a look and see some of the prior workshops. And again, these workshops should take on a different character starting sometime in the fall. So, and the PhoneWord workshops is actually a separate entity from PhoneWord and PhoneWord Forum. However, they do, in some respects, well, they definitely complement each other. So please tune in and join us again next month, July 29th, 2015 at 4 p.m. Eastern for the next PhoneWord Forum. And if you have any topics, anything you'd like to bring up, please go to phoneword.com and look under the contact information and feel free to email me with any topics, any guests you would like to hear on the PhoneWord Forum. So thank you very much for joining in today, and we look forward to you joining us in the future.